Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat in a quiet room with no noise, no people, no scrolling, no distractions, and felt completely at peace, not anxious, not restless, not reaching for your phone to fill the silence, just still? Most people can't do it. Most people are terrified of being alone because in the silence, they meet themselves, and that scares them more than anything. But I want you to hear this clearly today. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. And until you learn the difference, you'll keep running from the very thing that was meant to heal you. See, the world will tell you that your value is found in the noise, in your relationships, in how many friends you have, in who texts you back, in how many followers you've got. They've convinced you that solitude is something to avoid, that being alone means something is wrong with you. But I'm here to tell you, that's a lie. Solitude, that's where strength is built. That's where clarity is born. That's where you meet the real you, the one who doesn't need validation to feel worthy, the one who doesn't need company to feel complete. Because here's the truth. If you don't learn to stand alone, you'll keep falling when people walk away. And they will walk away. That's not pessimism. It's life. People come and go. Seasons change. And if your peace is dependent on someone else showing up, you're going to be at the mercy of other people's presence for the rest of your life. So what do? You start spending time with the one person you've been avoiding the most, yourself. You get honest. You get quiet. You start asking yourself hard questions. You begin the work that can only be done in the dark. Because in solitude, you'll uncover things about yourself no crowd can show you. You'll realize that your worth isn't tied to your relationship status, that your peace isn't found in the chaos of a packed calendar, that you don't need another person to complete you. You just need to remember who you are when the world goes silent. And I know it's hard. I know it feels empty sometimes. But loneliness isn't cured by people. It's cured by presence, your own presence. Let me say that again. Loneliness isn't about the absence of people. It's about the absence of connection with yourself. Because you can be in a crowded room and still feel completely alone if you're not grounded in who you are. So how do you learn to be alone without being lonely? First, you stop avoiding yourself. Put down the phone. Turn off the noise. Sit with your thoughts. Face the emotions you've been stuffing down. There is no freedom without self-awareness. And there is no self-awareness without silence. Second, you build rituals that center you. Start your mornings in stillness. Journal your thoughts. Go for walks without music. Have conversations with God. Create space in your day where you don't need to do anything. You just need to be. Third, you learn to love your own company. Not tolerate it, not endure it. Love it. You learn to laugh alone, to take yourself on a date, to enjoy your own presence so deeply that when others come into your life, it's not out of desperation, it's out of overflow. Because here's what nobody tells you. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you treat your alone time like a punishment, others will too. But if you treat it like a sanctuary, others will respect the boundaries you've built to protect your peace. See, the problem isn't being alone. The problem is what we believe about being alone. We've been taught that if you're not surrounded by people, if your phone's not blowing up, if you don't have someone lying next to you at night, something must be wrong with you. But let me flip that for you. What if being alone is exactly what's right with you? What if this season of solitude isn't punishment, but preparation? Think about it. Every champion has a season where they're not seen. Every great creation is formed in silence before the world ever celebrates it. Diamonds don't scream while they're being shaped. They endure pressure, alone, in the dark. So maybe this silence isn't empty. Maybe it's full of everything you've been too distracted to hear. Your purpose, your intuition, your healing, your direction. You see, when you're always surrounded by noise, you can't hear the whisper of your own spirit. And sometimes God speaks in whispers. So don't curse the quiet. Don't rush to fill the space. Let it grow you. Let it refine you. Let it break you down, if that's what it takes, so it can rebuild you into someone stronger than the version you used to be with all the crowds. Because there's something powerful that happens when you learn to walk alone. You stop depending on others to carry your confidence. You stop searching for outside approval to feel valuable. You stop giving people power over your peace. And that right there is when you become dangerous. Not dangerous in a violent way, dangerous because you are no longer easily moved, no longer easily shaken, no longer easily broken by silence or absence. You become a fortress, calm, grounded, unshakable. Now hear me clearly. I'm not saying isolate yourself. I'm not saying you don't need community. We all do. But you should never be so desperate for company that you settle for chaos just to avoid being alone. Some people would rather stay in toxic relationships than face the quiet of their own company. They'll tolerate disrespect. They'll bend themselves in half just to keep someone who doesn't even value their presence, all because they've never learned to be their own peace. But when you finally make peace with being alone, you'll never again tolerate being mishandled just to feel momentarily accepted. You'll stop chasing people. You'll stop begging for energy that doesn't match yours. You'll stop explaining your worth to people who can't recognize value, because you'll know who you are. You'll feel whole. And when you're whole, you don't chase, you choose. You choose who gets access. You choose who gets close. Not out of pride, but out of clarity. And that kind of power, it doesn't come from crowds. It comes from solitude. It comes from stillness. It comes from the seasons where you walk through the valley by yourself and realize you were never really alone to begin with, because God was with you. And even more importantly, you were with you. Let me tell you something that might sound strange in today's world. Being alone is not a weakness. It's a superpower, because when you're alone, no one's clapping, no one's validating, no one's stroking your ego. So everything you build in solitude, it's real. Your discipline, real. Your peace, real. Your self-worth, untouchable. You don't need applause to feel motivated. You don't need company to feel alive. You don't need external love to feel complete. You become your own fire. You learn to carry your own light into dark places. And let me tell you what happens when you carry that light. People will notice. They'll wonder how you're so grounded. They'll ask how you stay so calm, so focused, so resilient. And you'll smile, because you know the storm didn't shake you. It shaped you. The silence didn't break you. It built you. Because what most people call loneliness, you've turned into leadership. Now listen, being alone isn't always easy. You'll have days when the silence feels heavy, nights when the world feels far away, moments where doubt creeps in and says, you're missing out. But you're not missing anything when you're building everything. You're not falling behind when you're learning to walk in alignment with your values. You're not lacking connection. You're cultivating authenticity. See, most people are surrounded, but still empty. Entertained, but still searching. Busy, but still lost. They've built entire lives around avoiding themselves, and then wonder why nothing feels whole. But not you. You're doing the work others avoid. You're facing what they run from. You're building a foundation inside of you that no storm can touch. Because the truth is this: you can't lead others if you can't sit with yourself. You can't love deeply if you don't know how to nurture your own soul. You can't pour out if your well is always dry. That's why this season matters. This alone season. This sacred, quiet, sometimes uncomfortable season. It's not wasted. It's not pointless. It's necessary. It's where your roots go deep. It's where your identity detaches from performance and popularity and anchors itself in purpose and peace. And when you finally learn to be alone without being lonely, you stop depending on noise to feel alive. You stop chasing company to avoid your own reflection. You stop fearing the stillness, and you start owning it. So what happens when you come out of that alone season? You walk different. You speak with more weight. You make decisions that reflect your values, not your fears. You stop explaining your standards to people who never respected them in the first place. Because once you've tasted peace, you don't tolerate chaos disguised as connection. You start to understand that love isn't supposed to cost your self-respect. That presence doesn't always mean partnership. That company without alignment is just noise. And more than anything, you begin to realize that you were never really alone. God was there. Purpose was there. Your future self was there, waiting patiently for you to stop chasing and start listening. Because when you're finally still long enough, you stop asking, "Why am I alone?" And you start declaring, "This is my becoming." This is where you grow in silence. This is where you heal without the spotlight. This is where your heart learns that its first home should be inside your own ribcage, not someone else's hands. So let me remind you one last time. Being alone is not your enemy. It is your elevation. The silence you fear, that's where your calling starts to speak. The space you avoid, that's where your self-worth begins to stretch. The solitude you try to escape, that's where God does his best work. So stop filling every quiet moment with noise. Stop chasing people who were never meant to walk your path. Stop numbing the stillness and start embracing the strength that lives in it. Because if you can learn to be alone, truly alone, without falling apart, then no one and nothing can ever control you again. You will have mastered one of life's greatest lessons, that peace is not found in people. It's found in presence, and presence begins with you. So sit with yourself, not as an obligation, but as an honor. Turn down the world for a while and just be. No pressure, no performance, no need to impress or explain, just presence. Sit with your flaws. See them not as failures, but as fingerprints of your growth. Sit with your strengths. Remind yourself of the battles you've already survived. Sit with your thoughts, your doubts, your fears. Hold them gently, not as enemies, but as messengers trying to show you something deeper. Breathe with yourself. Not that shallow, rushed breathing we do when we're always on. I'm talking about deep, intentional, soul-level breath. The kind that reminds you you are still here. The kind that grounds you, centers you, calms you. That whispers, "You've got you. You always did." Walk with yourself, not just physically, but spiritually. Take yourself on the journey you've been waiting for someone else to lead, because the path you're meant to walk, it starts with a single step of self-trust. You don't need someone to pull you forward. You just need the courage to move with conviction, even if the road is quiet. Laugh with yourself. Yeah, really laugh. Remember what it's like to find joy without needing an audience. Be silly. Be soft. Be your full self. Not because someone else deserves that version of you, but because you do. Love yourself. Not in that cliche, surface-level kind of way. I'm talking about real love. The kind that forgives your past without conditions. The kind that speaks kindly to the mirror. The kind that honors your body, your boundaries, your becoming. Because when you finally fall in love with your own soul, not your mask, not your achievements, not your highlight reel, but your soul, you become untouchable. You'll never fear solitude again. Why? Because you'll realize solitude was never the enemy. It was the invitation, the training ground, the sacred space where you stopped searching for home in other people and started building it inside your own heart. You'll rise from it, not bitter, not broken, but built. Built from the inside out, built with patience, built with depth, built with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to shout to be heard. You'll be refined by it, like fire to gold, like pressure to diamonds. Every tear, every lonely night, every unanswered text, all of it was sculpting something stronger, wiser, and more whole. And when you walk into your future, you won't be walking with a void to fill. You won't be looking for someone to patch the cracks. You won't be begging to be chosen. You'll be walking in wholeness, in peace, in power, not needing anyone to complete you. Because you did the work. You faced the silence. You embraced the stillness. You found the voice behind the noise. And now, you are your own answer. And that kind of strength, that kind of peace, no one can take that from you. If you made it this far, drop 100 in the comments so I know you're part of the 1% who's serious about growth.